Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about Russian manicure, and what made me do this video is that a couple of days ago I bumped into a video in which a girl was talking about basic characteristics of the Russian manicure. Some of them seem a little debatable to me and I'd like to comment on them. But first I'd like to start with the fact that obviously Russian manicure is not an official term. And the concept has evolved from the manicure practice here in Russia. And the name is often used to describe a certain level of precision and quality with which manicure is performed. And the name obviously has been given to this procedure by people living outside Russia. So the very fact that we are talking about it today as of something separate and different is thanks to those people who traveled outside Russia and brought their experience with them and shared it with people. I totally understand that any description of Russian manicure is absolutely subjective, and it depends on the personal experience, whether it's a nail technician who's tried to perform this Russian manicure, or it's a client who's tried it out on their own nails and hands. I would also like to hear your opinion about your experience with Russian manicure. Maybe you have your own description of it, and this will be very interesting for me to hear. So let's go back to that list of features mentioned in the video. And the first feature was sterile tools. I personally don't think that it should be a basic characteristic of any manicure, whether it's Russian, American, Japanese, wet, dry, e-file combi, whatever type of manicure. It's not a basic characteristic, it's simply a must. Especially when we talk about working with clients. We might make an exception if we work just with our own hands, it's just home use. But when we work with different people, it should definitely always be sterile tools or simply clean and single-use tools. Yes, based on the fact that in Russian manicure we tend to clean out all the dry skin, get rid of all the dry skin, and we work real close to live skin, and the risk of damaging it is sometimes really high depending on the nail technician's expertise and depending on the nail and skin condition we work with in this exact case. But still, even if we work with just an orange stick and we just push back the cuticles, there is always a risk remaining to damage the skin. So it's not even a matter of question. Sterile tools are simply a must. Feature number 2 was creating the pocket under the proximal fold so that the gel looks like it grows from under the proximal fold. And yes, I agree with that because Russian manicure is known for its long wear, up to 6 weeks, although I would not recommend that. 3 to 4 weeks is okay, but even if you tend to wear your manicure for just 3 weeks, the way your color looks is much better and much more fresh than in case you leave this 1-2 millimeters bare space between the color line and the proximal fold. And I would also say that this gel line applied really close inside this pocket, close to the proximal fold, it stops dry skin from outgrowing too fast. And it's not just about the way your color looks on your nails, but also about your comfort and health, because this gel line, it stops dry skin from outgrowing and consequently from creating disruptions and hangnails, because when There is dry skin, there is losing of elasticity, and it's just about losing comfort. Obviously, it's just about some micro trauma, micro injuries, even if we don't see this. So, getting rid of dry skin as much as we can, but is about health. But I must mention that obviously, if we deal with certain anatomical features in this or that exact case, which don't allow us to create this pocket under the proximal fold. We just don't do that. We should actually look at what we're working with and work with this very gently and not go too far and not to go too aggressively. So yes, creating a pocket is okay, but we should always think about what we do. Another feature mentioned was using the flame-shaped bit. I don't really think it's a must for manicure to be called Russian, as long as you can perform the required level of precision, as long as you can clean out the space between the nail plate and the skin and work on the surface efficiently enough. It doesn't really matter what kind of tools you use. It doesn't really even matter whether it's going to be e-file or combi or wet classic manicure. It can also be called Russian if it's clean enough. So I personally choose e-filing only. I don't do nipping, or I don't use any type of cutting tools, but it's not the strict requirement for manicure to be called Russian. The flame bit has just proven to be really convenient in many cases. And I personally choose to use the flame-shaped bit with a little rounded tip. In this case, it's safe and it's really efficient. Probably you have already seen it in one of my short videos. Another characteristic mentioned was overnipping and cutting eponychium. And this exact point was most debatable for me because I don't really think that skin damage can be a basic characteristic of any type of manicure again. It might be called deviation, but it certainly is not the characteristic feature. But again, it's very subjective because people go from their personal experience, and maybe for some people who faced in some negative experience, they might certainly tend to think that Russian manicure is all about cutting and damaging. But when we talk about standard features and some ideal performing of this procedure, there is absolutely no trauma caused to either nail plate or skin. And I would even say that inside Russia, not all nail technicians can perform this high standard, unfortunately. So it's not about the procedure itself, but it's about people who can or cannot meet the requirements. I agree with the rule mentioned in the video that we must never really be aggressive and trying to clean everything to the bone when it's not necessary, or even especially when it's even dangerous. So there is always a line which we don't cross, and we should always be gentle with the skin so that it doesn't have to protect itself and overgrow. Another feature mentioned was the tucked gel, structure gel overlay. And about the tucked part, I totally agree because we have already discussed it. That opening the pocket under the proximal fold and trying to push as much the color as far as we can is really the basic characteristic of the Russian manicure. But I would not exactly agree about the structure gel overlay part, because in some cases it can be okay, but in some other cases it might not be okay. I personally prefer to work with hard gel with 100% of cases with my clients, because it helps me deal with all types of nails, upgrowing, downgrowing, twisting, and it allows me to create the perfect architecture for those nails, which will last long and look just gorgeous. And the last feature mentioned was the necessary close-up shot. And I find it absolutely fair that when we have our job done and we have this satisfactory result, we really want to take a picture of it because it shows the level of precision, and it is the demonstration of our expertise. So I don't know why it would not be a logical ending to the procedure. Uh, Obviously, when there is nothing to take picture of, you will not do that. But if it is some really great result of your work, I think it is something to be proud of. I would not say that it's a feature of the Russian manicure nail technician. It's a feature that would be logical enough for any person who has done his job well enough. And when talking about the effort and attention Russian manicure requires, well, remember how satisfactory the result is both to you and your client. And if this is not the target, this satisfaction, um, then why are we even doing this? Because to me, this is a huge part, a huge satisfactory part of my job, to share this joy with my client, to share this joy of creating something beautiful. So to merely perform an ordinary nail service, which does not stimulate a wish to take a picture of every single part of it, I think that this way we deny ourselves the pleasure of being artists. And I'm pretty sure that when we reach the certain level of perfection, it's not just about growing in our hard skills, but it's also about our personal growth, because this way we show ourselves how much effort we can actually put into our work. And this is about doing it right, doing it in a way that you can be proud of yourself. So there is really a lot in it, in this whole manicure process, in this Russian manicure procedure.